You know you want to get into e-learning and you hear all about Articulate Storyline and Articulate 360 and you look at the price and you're like, holy I don't even know if it's even worth it. Well, don't worry, friends, I've got you. In this video, I'm going to break down Articulate 360 and let you know if it's even worth it. My name is Vanessa and I help aspiring instructional designers and e-learning developers get off of the sidelines and into the L&D game. So, Articulate 360. It's pretty much the biggest authoring tool on the market. And I've used Adobe Captivate and Camtasia in the past, but right now I'm pretty much exclusively using Articulate 360 for multiple reasons. And I'm going to break down the pros and the cons of each. So let's start with the good. It is so easy to use. Honestly, it does seem overwhelming at first if you're not used to, if you haven't learned how to use an authoring tool before. And I totally understand that. I think that rapid authoring in the beginning can seem pretty overwhelming. The nice thing is that a lot of us say that it's PowerPoint on steroids, basically.
It's not juice. It's a protein shake.
And there's only a few things that you really need to really master and handle to put out some really good content. And I think that breaking down that barrier and Articulate having a look of Microsoft PowerPoint was genius. I mean, it has brought e-learning to people that didn't feel like they could be a developer because they were not into writing code or advanced interactions and things like that. And they've made it easy for anyone to pick up and create something that looks good. Some might say that they made it too easy, where now there's a lot of bad e-learning out there, and I totally understand that. But I think it's just made it more accessible, at least from a pick up and go. I can say that for Articulate Storyline, I learned it completely on my own through the use of their tutorials and just what I knew from using Adobe Captivate before that and figuring out kind of what the differences are. And also through the community and things like that. So it's definitely something that you can pick up. It does take a little bit of time, but I definitely recommend, you don't need to have like a full course on it or anything like that, at least for me. I'm the type of person that will pick up a new software and I just want to get into it and figure it out on my own. So my video editor is probably going to kill me, but I didn't really go through my new camera and learn all about the setup and go through the manual. I just started putting it all together because I wanted to get in there and play. I will, I'm sure, go through the manual at some point, or at least he will tell me some tips and tricks of how to make my filming setup better and the settings all better. But for me, it was just something that I wanted to dive into, and it was so easy to use that it was okay that I did that. And this is definitely, Articulate's definitely a tool just like that. You can download the free trial and you could just dive in and just start figuring it out, because you're going to feel pretty comfortable if you've used PowerPoint before. So I know people are getting a little bit hesitant about downloading it right away. So I definitely suggest that if you're going to use it because you want to create a sample for your portfolio, just have in mind what you want to create that sample on. So is it like a soft skill training or a software training, or you want to show a little bit of a process? Just have that idea, kind of not what you're going to do, but the idea of what you want it to look like or what the topic is before you jump into it, because those 60 days, once the clock starts, like 60 days goes like this. Remember when we thought that COVID was going to go away in 2 weeks? Like that countdown, how fast that went. Another really great thing about Articulate Storyline is, or Articulate 360, is the suite of apps that you get with it. So you don't just get Storyline. So you can just buy Storyline. You can buy Storyline 3 on its own. I personally own 360 because I love the suite that it comes with. And I love that they're always updating and things like that. So with the 360 package, you get Storyline, you get Presenter, you get Rise, you get Peak, you get the content library and all of the templates. You get Articulate Reviewer. I think they're calling it Reviews 360 now. Like, Reviews 360 has made my review process 1,000 times easier. Before, it was so difficult for people to leave comments, and we were tracking it on paper form because we found that Review My eLearning was okay, but it didn't really fit the bill. And because a lot of the customers that I would work with, it would end up in their spam folder or blocked by their mail filter. So they sometimes wouldn't even get the link or the invitation to join to review the course that I was working with them on. So it just wasn't really great. And then we had a Word document that they could use, but then you had to track which Word document was the latest and who fills this out. It was the whole situation. Now with Articulate Review, or I always call it Articulate Review, that's what its original name, Review 360, I put out a prototype, or I put out the course, and it's so easy to click in the comment box, leave your comment, put in your email so you get notifications, and that is it. I can see exactly where they were when they left that comment, and it's really just made my life easier. There are definitely things that I would fix with 360 Review, such as like a better search or a different way to categorize my home screen. I have so many courses out there on Review 360. It's insane. So to scroll through all of them and then delete them, I would rather archive them personally, because sometimes some of those courses come back because we do refreshers and things like that. And it's kind of nice having those comments from like the beginning in there. So there are some things like that that I would change. Also, you have to remember to pause the slide if it's a slide that automatically moves to the next one if you want to leave a comment, because if you don't, once you hit enter, it ties it to a different slide. So that could be very frustrating when you're trying to identify, wait, this doesn't make sense where the slide was on, but then you realize that they just didn't hit pause. But otherwise, it has worked outstanding. You can see exactly where they were. You can upload videos that you've done. So you can upload a video and it will timestamp it for you. You can review Rise courses through it as well. So it really is a great tool for annotation, and SMEs can talk to each other through it, right? So they can reply to comments and things like that. So it's been really wonderful to streamline review. So I do love the suite that it comes with, and I'm not buying all these different tools. One of the reasons I moved to Zoho One for my project management and marketing and my invoicing and my booking is because it's all one tool that can then talk to each other as needed, or it's just like one place that I'm going. I'm really big on one-stop shopping and paying one fee for all of these different tools, as opposed to paying like $100 for this, $15 for that. Like it just gets to be too much, and that's how you end up paying for subscriptions to things that you don't even use anymore. So definitely recommend it for that, but that's definitely helped me. Another great thing, speaking of things that Articulate comes with, is the content library. There are so many templates and different icons and stock photography, and they're always coming out with new characters to include in their character library or their avatar library. Honestly, all these templates have made it so much easier. I don't always have to go to Noun Project, to this library, to that, just to create something. Yes, sometimes I still have to go outside of Articulate to get different stock photography and icons and things like that, but sometimes I don't. If I just need a picture of a computer or someone typing on the computer, they're going to have a bunch of that, and I can go through it. Now, again, there are things that I would fix there. I find the search to be a little bit annoying, and I wish I could have more filters. So Articulate, if you're listening, I could use a little bit more filters in your content library. And for the most part, it's very easy to use. Just like little tweaks here and there to make it a little bit more friendly would be nice. But overall, having all of those things at my fingertip, especially when you're starting out, makes all the difference. You know, I think that when you are starting out, you just need to start with the basics so you can get your feet wet, get your first few projects, and get comfortable with the system. And then you can start going out and going to different websites for different avatars, and different website for different stock photography or stock videos and things like that. So just something to think about as you go through. So like I mentioned earlier, it's a suite of packages, right? Or a suite of tools. Articulate Rise has become such a huge tool on the market, and a lot of companies are starting to move towards using it because they love the ability that it is mobile responsive, and they like that it is, you have it up and running fairly quickly. Now, there are some Rise courses that will take you forever to push through, and mostly that's because it takes forever for me to review those courses. But overall, it really, if I have everything that I need to actually input the information and input the material, it doesn't truly take that long. So that's been great. And it's something that's easy to use for anyone. So for a beginner, an Articulate Rise course is something really easy to build. So I definitely recommend when you're building your portfolio to include a Rise course. There is now rise.com, and you can buy Rise separately, which includes the LMS, but I don't personally have a use for that myself. So I just find it easier for me to buy the package of Articulate 360, but it is an option if you're not looking to purchase, Storyline but you still want Rise, you can purchase Rise on its own now. So you heard me talk earlier that it is one of the hottest rapid authoring tools out there. And because of that, a lot of clients and customers are asking for developers or instructional designers who know how to use those tools specifically for a couple of reasons. One, they probably know that it's the hottest authoring tool out there, so they just assume anyone that's going to come and work for them should probably have access or should know how to use those tools just strictly because it's a buzzword in the industry. That's number one. Number two is that they might already have it as part of their at their company, so they want to be able to take the source files. If you're working with them on a project basis, they'll want to be able to take that source file and edit it in the future. So they want to make sure that you're running on the same system. So because 360 is so easy to use in Storyline, so easy to use by anyone really, they have that tool already. So they're always looking for someone that matches with that same tool. So there are some instructional designers that will ask, or will say, it doesn't matter what you build in. It's, it's what the client, the client shouldn't care how the product is made as long as it's what they want in the end. And that's true for the most part, but there are some clients that want products made in a certain tool and they pay for that product to be made in that tool because they want to be able to edit it in the future and they want to take that source file. At the end of the project, at least for my clients, that source file is theirs. It's not something that I need to keep and hoard. I don't charge them extra or anything like that to take the source file. I just give it to them if they ask for it. If they don't, then I'll just give it to them when they eventually do ask, if they ever ask. It's definitely not a requirement. I just ask if they want it, and sometimes they do, and sometimes they're like, you know what, if we need updates, we're probably going to call you anyway. So just hold on to it for us because we'll lose it on our internal drive. So it is theirs. That's one of the reasons that they're going to ask for Articulate 360 or Storyline 360. So for that reason alone, it's a really good idea to at least get the free trial to learn the basics of how to use it until you can pay or until you get a job that you're going to need it. And then my last pro is the community is truly the best out there. I cannot find another community for a rapid authoring tool that is better than Articulate. Like, they have just outdone themselves. If you go onto the Articulate community website, you have articles about how to create engaging learning. There are the Articulate challenges, so you could practice your skill and you can see what others have done to help, recharge or engage your creative juices. There are tutorials of how to use the entire tool right on this website. You can download templates, and not just Storyline templates. You can download project management templates, storyboard templates, all these different types of templates. And there's a job board where people are constantly posting new jobs that are typically tied to Articulate Storyline building. So I definitely recommend that you check out the community for the community alone. Even if you don't end up getting Storyline, they have a whole board on building better courses that's not dedicated to specific issues they're having with one of their products or questions about one of their products. It is just towards building courses. So even if you don't have the tool, go look at that board for ideas and recommendations of how to create better learning and how to create better courses. But if you are having an issue with one of their tools, or you're not sure of how to work something out, before I even go to their support, I always check the message board. I check to see what if others have had this issue already, because then I could test out some of the recommendations that others have given them. And if I don't see anything, I will post, and I will usually get or at least one response within 24, if not less hours. And that is amazing. I mean, so many times you reach out to a support system and they're like, okay, we'll get to you within like 72 hours. Well, if I go onto the message boards, I at least have the ability to get to someone, another member of the articulate community that maybe has faced the same issue. The other cool thing is that you can subscribe to different threads. So if I'm noticing that there's like a bug in it or something like that that's affecting me, I'll subscribe to that thread, and every time there's a new post or a new comment, I am getting an email of that, and it helps keep me up to date if there is a new update that will affect that bug or maybe fixes it. So that's been really cool. I definitely recommend checking out the articulate community. So now that we've gone through all the positive and my cons, the pros, let's talk about the cons. So the first one, and I'm just going to say it, it's the elephant in the room. That's not really a huge elephant, but it's the truth, the price. It is like $1,000 if you don't go with the Teams plan, and that's not a one-time fee. It's a per year fee. So Storyline used to be a one-time fee. It was like, I don't know, $1,200 or something like that. And then, you got your Storyline. That's great. And you can do that if you just purchase Articulate Storyline 3, but 360 is a $1,000 fee that, because the way that I ended up purchasing it, I get hit with every year on December 24th. So it is a yearly fee. And besides the fact that I pay for it around Christmas time, it hurts every time to think that I'm spending $1,000 on a tool. That being said, every time I purchase it, and as I go through the year, I just am more and more thankful, that I purchased it, because there are so many things that come with it that I don't have to then purchase this tool and that tool to do all of those things. And I didn't mention this in the pros, or I might have slightly mentioned it, they're always updating it, which is really nice, because I'm always getting new enhancements and things like that. So I try to keep that in mind whenever I hand over my credit card, and I'm like, okay, there's always enhancements. There's always coming out new things. Like this year was a big year for accessibility, which is really important. So I'm glad that they're addressing those issues. And there's the templates, there's Articulate, there's Review 360, 360, Vanessa, remember all the good that comes with handing over $1,000. And then remember that you will add that to your, to when you do your taxes, that will be one of your deductions, you're okay. And for anyone that's a new instructional designer or a new e-learning developer, I get that the price tag can scare you. So I definitely recommend saving up for it. If you are a student, or you're still a student, using that student discount, which is half off, is definitely something that I would absolutely recommend. And then while you have that student discount until you're no longer a student the following year, then I would recommend trying to get a job to pay for that $1,000 for the following year. And I always budget okay, this job that I'm doing, this is the job that's paying for my articulate license. So that's something that I do to help ease the pain of forking over that $1,000 for that license every year. But it's definitely something that is expensive, so it is something to think about, and you are likely going to have to budget for it. So with the idea that there's a whole ton of upgrades that come in throughout the year, that's also part of a con. And something that one of the groups that I'm in of instructional designers and e-learning developers, we talk about pretty frequently recently, is that we've noticed that with all of the new releases, a lot of bugs slip through, and sometimes bugs that were previously fixed come back. So it's great that the software is constantly changing, constantly evolving, and we are getting new enhancements. But if you keep introducing bugs that were previously fixed, it is so annoying. Or something that was never broken before is now broken. And this is so common when you work in the software industry, and I am used to this. But it doesn't make it any easier when I get an email from a client saying, you know, this doesn't work and it previously worked fine. There are also sometimes, like for a while, there were blurry screenshots because Google Chrome and Storyline weren't exactly matching up. There was like an issue within Chrome that had nothing to do with Storyline, like they couldn't fix it. So it would cause blurry screenshots. It was truly the most annoying bug that I've dealt with because there's literally nothing I could do, because I would preview it and I'm like, this clearly looks fine. And I would use other browsers and it would be fine. And it was just Google Chrome, one of the most used browsers, web browsers. And it was quite frustrating. So keeping that in mind, that you are going to deal with bugs from time to time, and it may take a minute to fix. There is one bug that at least one that I can remember that I've put in there that still has not gotten fixed. And the nice thing though is that if you do send a ticket to support with a bug, they'll tell you and say, hey, just so you know, we've escalated this to our team. We'll keep you up to date. You know, if one of our upgrades, you know, includes that enhancement, and they always do. You know, anytime I have one of those issues, they email me, hey, Vanessa, great news. And sometimes it's like months later and I've forgotten about it. And there is this one bug, and I know that it is out there, that would be really great for me, that they did not include. They still have not included as it's really like an upgrade, I think, at this point. But that's kind of annoying, but that is something to think about. And they do have a feature request, which is really nice. I do find that the feature request, like you kind of put it in there and then it goes into a black hole. It would be nice to have some sort of confirmation of what my feature was, or my feature request was, and the ability to see more of a roadmap of where it might fall into. So you don't really know what's exactly is coming until they do some sort of marketing push, or you just get an update. Hey, by the way, you have to update your 360. And then I'm like, hey, okay. So I go into 360's version history page and I see what the new update is. The most recent one at the end of September was pretty big. And they've had some really big ones this year, which is really nice. But yeah, I didn't really know that anything was coming. So it would be nice to know what's coming, so I could better prepare for it. And a lot of people say this, and I'm not really one that does too advanced of interactions. That's just not my gig. I'm not a big coder or anything like that. But a lot of people that compare Captivate to Storyline, they've mentioned that if you're trying to do really advanced interactions, that Storyline is not the best tool for you. And again, I'm not one that's creating super advanced interactions. So I don't face this con very often, but I do know that it is out there, and colleagues of mine do mention that, and it's something to think about. It's not going to be the perfect tool. I mean, no tool is, but it is something that is a con. So if you're someone that needs to create super advanced interactions outside of the if then that type of statements, then Articulate Storyline's not going to be the tool for you. So, drum roll please. My final verdict, which I feel pretty bad because it was pretty clear the entire time. I think that Storyline or Articulate 360 is totally worth it. I find that so many clients of mine are asking for it. I have made my money back, like tenfold, if not more. And it's been so easy to use. The imagery comes out crisp and clear, which I don't always notice in Captivate. It's not as crisp and as fresh. I don't know, there's something with the graphics. And it just looks so nice at the end. So with some tinkering, some education, some, self-education, working with the community, taking a course if that's what you need, or just getting in there and playing around, you really can create some really great courses that really wow your learners. So I definitely recommend you go in there, try a trial of Articulate 360, and let me know in the comments down below what you think of Articulate. And if you're not an Articulate fan, what's a tool that you do like to create your e-learning courses? And make sure you join the Freelance Learning and Development Network to continue this conversation. Friends, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.